In this video, we're going to look at one of the highest impact automations that you can make for really any nonprofit. Nonprofits are all fundraising. They all need donations to continue their work. And this automation can really help you foster your relationship with your donors. So few organizations thank their donors. It's really unfortunate. And if they do, it may be an email at the end of the week or the end of the month. But you can go so much further in a much easier automated way. We're going to look at how we can do that today. We're going to be building this in make.com, my preferred automation tool for nonprofits. There's a few reasons because of that. It is incredibly user-friendly. It's really nice and visual, easy to learn and scale, and they have an incredible offer for nonprofits. Firstly, their plans are really affordable, but you can also get a whole year for free on a pro plan with, I think, about 40,000 automations per month, free for nonprofits. So you're saving, $53 per month for a whole year. After that, depending on how many automations you're using, you can scale down to a plan that's either, $9 or $16 and scale accordingly. So it's very, very affordable. And especially for your first year, you're going to get it for free. So let's jump in and actually have a look at what this is going to look like. So we're inside the Make dashboard now, and we are creating what's called a scenario. A scenario is where the automation sits. And you always need two things in an automation. You need a trigger and you need an action. So the trigger is what is actually going to indicate to this automation to start. And we want to actually create an automation here that when a donation is received and it's over a certain amount, we want to receive a message either via email or Slack or text and to indicate to phone that donor. This is an incredible way to foster this relationship, to just thank your donors very quickly after they've donated. It makes them feel really valued. And you'll be surprised how few organizations do this, but it can create incredible goodwill, foster these relationships, and lead to further donations down the track. So you're going to find a whole range of fundraising applications here. If you scroll through make.com's integrations, you'll see now thousands of integrations to different apps that you may be using. I think the easiest way is we're going to just look at Stripe. Most organizations are going to be using a payment processor, and Stripe is one of the most common ones. But if you're using a fundraising platform that has an integration to make.com or offers something called webhooks, you could potentially set it up that way. Because every organization is different, unfortunately, we can't build one automation that's going to fit every organization. But hopefully, if you see these building blocks, you can then apply this to your organization. So we can create an automation that runs with Stripe watching a specific event. So this could be, when a donation is made. And you see, once you connect it to Stripe, it asks to create a webhook. And that just means once a donation lands within Stripe, that can then send this data to make.com. From there, we want to actually now create an action. So this first module is what is called the trigger. Next, we want to create an action. And so you can do a whole range of actions here. As I said, Slack may be a very useful one where you could send a message to a specific channel. I'm just going to, select a test one here. So I'll go to public channel and I'll just call it general. And we can actually say, a new donation has been received. And we can actually now map values from Stripe and input them here. Because this isn't set up, I'm not actually seeing anything, but ultimately, once this is connected to your Stripe or your fundraising platform, you will then be able to get variables such as the name, the amount, and their contact details. And so you can immediately send yourself a Slack message that says, John has just donated $300. His phone number is blah, blah, blah. Phone him and say thank you. Now, how do we ensure that we're only getting Slack messages for donations over a certain amount? Well, this is where we would be adding in a condition. Now, if you click on these dots between these modules, you'll actually see that we have a filter here. And so here we could just say that the donation is over, $300. And in the condition, you would then be mapping a value from Stripe. Now, I'm going to just delete Stripe. I'm just going to be doing something called set variable. So we can actually see this in action. Let's actually do set multiple variables. And this just gives us an idea of what this is going to look like. So let's go amount, and let's say that this is 300. Let's go name. As I said, it was John Smith, and email. I'm going to have john@smith.com. And let's just do a phone number as well. Phone 2345678. Okay, great. So now if I actually run this module, this is just going to give us some test data. And this is what you would see from that module that you've connected to your fundraising application or Stripe. Now, if we go back to Slack, you're actually going to see that we have that opportunity to now map those values across. So let's go again, public channel, general, new donation from, and here we're going to be inserting the name, John Smith. Please call them on. We can add the phone number. The donation amount is, and we can then put in that amount there. Now we can actually save that. So now we want to set up that condition. So as I said, if you click on these dots, we can now say donation over $300. And the condition is that amount needs to be greater than or equal to 300. Now we have a whole range of different conditions here, and we want to be using numeric operations. So you can see there's text-based and there's numeric. So because this is a number we're actually working with, we want greater than or equal to 300, and we can click save. Now we can actually see this beautiful filter there. And let's run this, and we'll see that this actually processes correctly. This now has identified that that is the value, that was over $300, and then that sent that message. Now let's actually change this just to $250. Click save and run. And now we'll see that that condition was not met, so that Slack message did not send. And you can see this is how simple it can be just to set up an automation that can then notify you to phone a donor. Again, we can actually connect this to Gmail. We can then send us an email as well. We could even connect this to something like Twilio if we wanted to send a text message. So within Twilio, we can create a text message and actually send us a message notifying us of that donation and calling immediately. Now, this is just using a couple of modules without any AI integration within it. But we can actually add AI if you would like to get a little bit fancier. So I'll just quickly show you what this could look like, and then we'll wrap up the video. So where AI could really come into this automation is if we wanted to first extract information from our CRM to enrich the data that we're actually providing to ourselves. John may have donated to us before, and in a previous conversation, he mentioned his dog Maggie and gave us some information about her. And in this conversation, it's going to be really valuable if you can then say, last time we spoke about Maggie, how's she going this time? So what you could actually do is within here, before we actually send these messages, if we remove this, we could now start adding a search feature. Now you could do this within Airtable. You can do this within Salesforce. You can do this within any type of database that you have is going to often be connected to make.com. Even things like HubSpot. But let's just do Airtable for simplicity. So we would want to add the search records module where we could actually search a database for a specific email address. We can find, has this donor donated before? Depending on your CRM, this may be slightly different, But then from there, we can actually get some information that then we could filter through to an AI like ChatGPT, where we could actually ask AI to summarize all of the details from our past conversations with this donor, and then actually add that to the Slack. So we could have summary of last call, and we could then add it from the OpenAI result over here. And so this is a really nice way that you can then actually have a donation come in, check, have they donated before? And if they have, retrieve the information from that last call, filter that through to ChatGPT, Anthropic, Google Gemini, any of the AI models, and get it to summarize it. Then send yourself a Slack message or a text message. You can see here, one problem is that the filter has now moved from the donation to the OpenAI module. So I would actually go and change this, because we don't want to go all the way down this path and then check if the donation is over 300, then start sending the message. We really want to stop that at the beginning. So I would actually change that to donation over 100 at the beginning. And we need to just change that filter over there. Numeric greater than or equal to 300. And that just means if the donation isn't over $300, we're not going to go in search records. We're not going to use AI API credits, and we're not going to send the message. So you can see within a few minutes, you can build out a very comprehensive automation that is going to foster relationships with your donors. This is a leverage point. This makes a task that would generally be quite manual and cumbersome at the end of each week, maybe getting a report and then looking through and trying to identify who to call and when. You just immediately get a notification. Someone has donated, it meets a specific criteria. Here's their contact details, phone them and thank them. After that, I highly recommend adding notes to your CRM that you can continue enriching this experience by adding these modules where you get previous notes and then use AI to summarize them. So I hope this video has inspired you to create your own automation to help continuously foster your relationship with your donors. And if you need help with any of this, please feel free to let me know. As always, any questions, please drop them in the comments below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.